Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this press conference ahead of the 5th EU-Moldova Parliamentary Association Committee meeting, which begins tomorrow at 12:30 here in Brussels. And I'm now joined by our two co-chairs. First of all, on behalf of the European Parliament, Mr. Siegfried Mureșan, just to my right, and further down, on behalf of the Moldovan Parliament, the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Mihai Popșoi. So, our speakers will now start with some introductory remarks on the upcoming meeting, and then we can answer any questions. And interpretation is available in English, French and Romanian. And with that said, Mr. Mureșan, please, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I would like to welcome journalists here in the room, but also following us online, including from the Republic of Moldova. I have a pleasure of welcoming today and tomorrow here in the European Parliament a distinguished delegation from the Republic of Moldova, chaired by and led by Mihai Popșoi, who is the Vice President of the Moldovan Parliament. We are going to meet in the framework of the EU-Moldova Parliamentary Association Committee. That is the gathering of the European Parliament and of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova. Our objective is to further strengthen ties between the Republic of Moldova and the European Union. Why are we meeting and what is on our agenda today? We are meeting because the Republic of Moldova is now officially an EU candidate country. It has expressed its will to become a member state of the European Union. We have jointly decided to grant the Republic of Moldova EU candidate status, and we have embarked on a road on further strengthening the ties between the Republic of Moldova and the European Union. We are also meeting these days here in Brussels to show the European support for the Republic of Moldova, to signal that we are following the situation in the Republic of Moldova. We are very well aware of all of the progress made by Moldovan authorities towards further integration with the European Union. We are also aware of permanent attempts to destabilize and provoke in the Republic of Moldova. The European Parliament is following these very closely. We are also aware of the fact that security risks for the Republic of Moldova and for EU member states are the same and they are common. We are also aware of the fact that in order to live in safety and stability within the borders of the European Union, we need to be surrounded in our immediate neighborhood by countries which are safe and stable, and this is why the security of the Republic of Moldova is also in the fundamental interest of the European Union. This is why we are going to work together to further strengthen security at the eastern border of the European Union, including in the Republic of Moldova. What are we going to do today and tomorrow? Joint document of conclusions, which will become a formal position of our Parliamentary Association Committee. Such conclusions are important because 1 year ago, in April 2022, under the leadership of Mr. Popșoi and myself, in the previous meeting of our Parliamentary Association Committee, which took place then in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, it was for the first time that we wrote in a document of an institution of the European Union that we called on the Republic of Moldova receiving EU candidate status. That was then confirmed by a resolution of the European Parliament and then confirmed by the European Council. So what we are doing here has proven to be relevant and important in the past. What are we going to propose as joint conclusions to be adopted tomorrow? Firstly, we are going to propose that the European Commission provides the Republic of Moldova even more technical support and technical assistance for implementing the important reforms that the Moldovan government is in the process of implementing. And as soon as these reforms are being implemented, we need to give the Republic of Moldova the perspective on what is next. And I believe the next step should be the start of EU accession negotiations as soon as possible upon the fulfillment of the 9 recommendations put forward by the European Commission for the government of Moldova last year. So firstly, working on the European perspective. Secondly, sanctions for Moldovan oligarchs who are destabilizing the situation in the Republic of Moldova. We are very well aware that in the past there were attempts to capture the Moldovan state, to influence political decisions, to influence businesses, and to influence the press, the free press, to influence the independence of the media. Those people who were also part of acts of corruption, of money laundering, serving Russian interests, and trying in the past to weaken the Moldovan state, trying now to provoke in view of destabilizing, they are a risk to the people of Moldova. They pose a risk to the European Union, and they should be sanctioned by the European Union. There was a proposal made by Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Moldova and Romania in the Council several weeks ago, which has gathered support of several EU member states right now. I expect us as a Parliament and as a Parliamentary Association Committee to also demand the extension of the EU sanctions list. We're going to talk about the economy and the financial support for the Republic of Moldova. And I can tell you that as the member responsible for the macro-financial assistance to the Republic of Moldova in the Budgets Committee of the Parliament, I will put forward next week, Tuesday, the legislative position of the Parliament on granting the Republic of Moldova 145 million euros macro-financial assistance. This was proposed by the European Commission some weeks ago. We need to adopt it here in Parliament. I will put forward the proposal of the Parliament next week. Our objective is to adopt this fast by May of this year so that money can reach the Republic of Moldova over the course of this year when it's needed. We will discuss about further enlarging trade because the Republic of Moldova should know it can rely on European markets now and always in the future. Moldovan products have a place on European markets. We are economically interlinked very much, and the Republic of Moldova should know its products are welcomed here on the European markets. To conclude, we are also going to see together how we can further strengthen our efforts in the area of security, because security risks are the same for the Republic of Moldova and the European Union. Very often the Republic of Moldova is at maximum a transit country for smuggling, and very often the target is ourselves within the European Union. We need to make sure that Moldovan authorities, which have worked decisively to protect Moldovan borders, that they can work well together with authorities from EU member states, that we have good exchange of information so that we can tackle risks. The European Union is launching a security hub in the Republic of Moldova. We need to make sure that we are allocating enough financial resources. We need to make sure that member states, Commission, are also cooperating with Moldovan authorities to make that security together than ever. The Republic of Moldova has clearly expressed its interest to join the European Union. We have the obligation to provide all support that we can to the Republic of Moldova. This is why Directorate General for Neighborhood, a special unit dedicated to the Republic of Moldova, which would reflect the new status which the Republic of Moldova has as an EU candidate country. The Republic of Moldova cannot be treated together with countries which are lagging behind: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia. The European Commission has created a special directorate within DG Neighborhood. This is very good. We are all supporting it, but a separate structure, equal in ambition, in the form of a unit, needs to be created also for the Republic of Moldova to reflect its new status as an EU candidate and the closer than ever relations that we have. This is a bit the plan ahead of us for the next 2 days. Mr. President, once again, welcome to the European Parliament. We're looking forward to fruitful discussions with you.
Mr. Popșoi.
Thank you, Mr. Mureșan. Dear representatives of the media, dear citizens watching us back home, I am honored to be leading the Moldovan delegation at a parliamentary association committee This is the time where we take stock of the successes achieved and also take stock of the challenges that the Republic of Moldova is facing in its current circumstances. And I would like to begin by thanking my dear friend, the co-chair of the Parliamentary Association Committee, Mr. Mureșan, who is one of the biggest proponents of the Republic of Moldova and the biggest advocates of Republic of Moldova's advances towards European Union membership. And we are truly honored to have such friends in the European Parliament. We can only hope that in this year, the European Union, the Member States, and the European Commission and the Council and the Parliament, where we have significant support, will reciprocate us in our efforts in taking Moldova a step further towards its ultimate goal that the citizens have established in the previous election of membership in the European Union. We will do our utmost to do what needs to be done, particularly fulfilling those 9 conditionalities, 9 commitments to start negotiations, because the current challenges that the Republic of Moldova is going through, and the challenges are substantial and multiple, starting from the post-COVID adjustment, the war in Ukraine, the hybrid war that the Russian Federation is waging on us, and internal disturbances and attempts by fugitive oligarchs to destabilize the situation in the Republic of Moldova while trying to evade justice on the one hand, and on the other hand doing the bidding of the Russian Federation and its hybrid tactics in the Republic of Moldova. Thankfully, we have a robust majority in Parliament in the Republic of Moldova. We have the strong leadership of President Sandu and the now new Prime Minister, Mr. Rechan, who has significant background in the security sector, being previously the head of the National Security Council. We are doing everything to not only maintain stability in the Republic of Moldova, but also to carry through with important reforms. And first among those reforms is the reform of the justice sector. We understand full well, and we have learned from experience of the last 30 years, a rather tragic experience, I must admit, that without a properly functioning judiciary, without an independent judiciary, without meaningfully combating corruption, it's very hard, if not impossible, to achieve not only democratic consolidation, of nationals would really struggle to invest in a country where the judiciary is a bidding game. And we have committed strongly to carry through with justice reform, despite the very strong opposition bordering on sabotage from within the judiciary. Thankfully, again, we have this robust majority. We have clarity as to what needs to be done, and we have the support of our good friends in the European Union, on the bilateral level, also on the multilateral level, to carry through with these important reforms. As I mentioned, we are on track on completing in time, in due course, those 9 items of conditionality, with the only caveat being that there is some unclarity to when it comes to the item regarding de-oligarchization. We see that the Ukrainian and the Georgian experience in implementing the laws on de-oligarchization are not exactly achieving the goal, and they're being criticized by the Council of Europe. So we are looking to clarify what by our partners. We remain committed to solidify Moldovan democracy, to provide Moldovan citizens the democratic norms, rules and values that they have voted for. But we also need to be aware that we need to maintain macro-financial stability. This is what the fugitive oligarchs and the Russian hybrid tactics are trying to exploit. Ironically, it is the very oligarchs who are now fugitives from justice who have left Moldovan society pauperized, and now they are exploiting the poverty that they have left behind in an incredible display of cynicism. But thankfully, the Moldovan institutions are robust enough security hub that is being created now in the in the Republic of Moldova, and the civilian mission that will come to the Republic of Moldova, announced recently by Mr. Borrell, is going to provide that impetus to provide the citizens the assurances that the Republic of Moldova is not alone. And we have seen that, and we see that every day, that, as the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And certainly Mr. Mureșan is a great friend of the Republic of Moldova, and I'd like to thank him for his steadfast support of Moldova, the European Union, the member states for their generosity, the European taxpayers who are helping the Republic of Moldova to withstand the pressures that we are facing. I'm sure that together with our friends and partners, the Republic of Moldova will not only carry on, but will also achieve the goals that our citizens have set for us. And chief among those goals is advancing on our European integration aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we can see if there are any questions. Just in the meantime, to those who follow us online, if you would like to ask a question, please indicate so by clicking on the so-called raise hand button or the hand button. But I think we'll start with the questions from the room. I believe you were first, so please, if you could just also introduce yourself.
Vitaly Sizov, Ukrainian broadcaster Freedom. Could you tell more about sanction? Maybe the list of entities, person, how it will be imposed, when, some information.
Look, we have visited the Republic of Moldova as members of the European Parliament in February when protests also took place, and our assessment is the following. And this was also based on work of investigative, objective journalists and work done by NGOs. The assessment is the following. People are being brought to protests. They are also being paid to protest against the pro-European government, and this is being determined by two factors. Firstly, by the fact that the Russian Federation does not like the pro-European convincing reform path and approach which Moldovan authorities have embarked on. In the past, whenever the Republic of Moldova was becoming too pro-European, the Russian Federation would try to fragilize the government. Governments in the past in the Republic of Moldova were weak, were the results of many coalition partners. Right now, the pro-European party has an absolute majority in the Moldovan parliament. It is strong, and we are seeing that the government is stable. This upsets the Russian Federation because they cannot weaken the government through parliamentary tools. They're trying to weaken it in the street. We are seeing that. We are aware of this. The second ingredient for the so-called protests is the fact that the oligarchs will be held accountable for acts of corruption, money laundering, which they were involved in the past. Moldovan judiciary will start working. It already starts working. And we are aware that this makes them nervous. And this is why I say that those individuals who are fueling these protests with the objective to destabilize an EU neighboring country should be held accountable. Their assets within the EU member states have to be frozen if they are results of acts of corruption, money laundering, if links to the Russian Federation exist and can be proven, and if they attempt to attack and weaken democratic institutions, rule of law in a neighboring country of the European Union. Some of these individuals are already sanctioned by the United States and by the United Kingdom. This is why we believe that as a European Union we have to enlarge our sanction regime so that we also cover them, so that we are in a position to sanction them so that they cannot weaken the Moldovan state anymore.
I think a good start would be to actually sanction those that have been sanctioned, as Mr. Mureșan mentioned, by the U.S. Treasury Department. And that's Ilan Shor and the Shor Party, specifically mentioned in the U.S. Treasury sanctions list, who is a fugitive from Moldovan justice and is allegedly evading Moldovan prosecution in Israel. And his party now is being used by the Russian Federation to destabilize the situation in the Republic of Moldova. Of course, Mr. Plahotniuk, who has been declared by the U.S. State Department as a corrupt entity and later by the U.S. Treasury also sanctioned. These are the two main oligarchs who are trying to use the resources that they have stolen from the Moldovan citizens to destabilize the situation and to in their dreams, change the government in the Republic of Moldova to a pro-Russian one that will in turn, according again to their aspirations, would try to stab Ukraine in the back. We will not allow that, and we count on the European Union to introduce these sanctions, at least against Ilan Shor, Mr. Plahotniuk. The U.S. Treasury Department also mentioned the party, the newly created party of the pro-Russian mayor of Chisinau, but the two main oligarchic entities are Ilan Shor and Vladimir Plahotniuk.
Thank you very much. I see that there are questions online, but in the meantime, we'll take one from the room. Please, go ahead.
Vreau să continui discuția pe care ați început-o dumneavoastră, domnule Popșoi. Am pornit microfonul, dar cred că nu se aude foarte bine. Spuneți de liste de sancțiuni, vorbiți deja și despre niște nume. Cum credeți că vor fi soluționate aceste dosare în instanța din Republica Moldova în condițiile în care știm destul de bine că există acolo o linie, că sunt probleme pe zona de corupție și în același timp sunt o serie de dosare în Republica Moldova care bat pasul pe loc în instanță?
Așa este. Tocmai de asta ne dorim un regim al sancțiunilor internaționale care, pe de o parte, să facă mult mai dificilă cheltuirea acelor bani furați de către oligarhii din Republica Moldova acolo unde se află ei, pe de o parte. Pe de altă parte, acest regim de sancțiuni internaționale va fi și un imbol, dacă doriți, un mesaj clar către justiția din Republica Moldova că trebuie să-și facă treaba și da, ca cetățean al Republicii Moldova și ca Moldova să nu emită o decizie, oricare ar fi ea, în curtea de apel, după ce instanța primară l-a condamnat pe același Ilan Shor în anul 2016, dacă mi-aduc bine aminte. Și iată, deja 7 ani, curtea de apel nu poate emite o decizie sau poate nu îi se permite să emită această decizie. Este o rușine pentru justiția din Republica Moldova și tocmai asemenea cazuri denotă necesitatea iminentă de a introduce reforme serioase, radicale, dacă doriți, în sistemul de justiție din Republica Moldova, pentru că altfel cetățenii din Republica Moldova, deopotrivă cu jurnaliști internaționali, își pun întrebarea cum de un oligarh care a furat, a participat la furtul miliardului și a fost condamnat în primă instanță, nu ajunge să îi se emită o decizie de către Curtea de Apel, pe când alți cetățeni ai Republicii Moldova, pentru crime mult mai puțin grave, haideți să spunem așa, ajung să fie condamnați în timp util. De aceea, după cum spuneam, prioritatea noastră este reforma justiției, așa încât să nu mai avem situații rușinoase când un oligarh cunoscut lumii întregi ca și participant la acel furt al miliardului din Republica Moldova ajunge să nu fie condamnat sau să tergiverseze procesul aparent la infinit. De aceea reforma justiției este atât de importantă pentru noi.
Yes, I just see that there's people who have been waiting patiently online as well. So I would just like Mr. Mohil Injov. Mohil, if you can hear us, please. The floor is
yes, I hear you. Good afternoon. I'm not Momhil, I'm Momchil. My name is Momchil Injov.
Apologies.
I'm Bulgarian journalist, correspondent of the Club Z Media in Brussels. My question is to Mr. Popșoi. Your Excellency, well, I have 2 questions. First one, is there a possibility Moldova to denounce its neutrality and to change the constitution its constitution in order to become a NATO member? And the second question is, are there fears that some minorities in Moldova can support Russia in case of aggression? I'm interested, for example, about the Bulgarian minority. How is the situation of the Bulgarian minority? Who is supporting it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monchil. It's a very important question, actually, both of them. The short answer to the first question is that we do not have enough votes to change the constitution and to change the neutrality status of the Republic of Moldova. But what we can do, and we are already doing that, we are engaging in a public debate trying to critically assess and address Moldova's current neutrality status and to what extent it actually provides those security assurances and guarantees to the Republic of Moldova. And I would certainly argue as a young project officer back in the day at the NATO Center in the Republic of Moldova that there is no better entity to ensure the security of any country in the Euro-Atlantic region, and Republic of Moldova included, than the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Unfortunately, the Republic of Moldova has been living and its citizens for 30 years under the Russian propaganda, and now it's very difficult to break through that wall of propaganda. We are opening that discussion in order to hopefully persuade as many citizens of the Republic of Moldova to entertain other options of ensuring Moldova's security, including perhaps NATO membership. But unfortunately, the current support in the public polls is around 30%, so we have a lot of work to do to catch up and to alleviate that propaganda that has been pouring for 30 years. Now, when it comes to the Bulgarian minority in particular, you might be surprised that a few years back in a poll trying to find out which of the ethnic groups in the Republic of Moldova support European integration, in the district of Taraklia, where it's primarily Bulgarian minority residing in the Republic of Moldova, there was the lowest support. And that was very surprising, even to us. So we look forward to engaging more with ethnic minorities in the Republic of Moldova, with the Gagauz, with the Russians, with the Ukrainians, with the Jewish minority, to try to inform them better, because this is also a shortcoming of 30 years of neglect. You need to integrate ethnic minorities, you need to speak their language, you need to provide avenues of integrating them into the national fabric of the society. And that's what we're trying to do. And we also count on our Bulgarian friends to reach out and to be more present in the efforts of Europeanizing the Bulgarian minority in the Republic of Moldova, which, along with other minorities, have been living under the spell of Russian propaganda for way too many years. And now we are trying to seriously address that.
Thank you very much. Daniel Stanciu, DG.com, Europe by Satellite. I have actually two questions, one for Mr. Popșoi and one for Mr. Mureșan. Mr. Popșoi, regarding those 9 recommendations from the European Commission, how likely is it that this autumn Moldova will start the adhesion negotiations, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10? And if Moldova misses this mark, does it have a contingency plan to still keep the pro-European spirit alive? And for Mr. Mureșan, when it comes to expanding trading relations between the EU and Moldova, how would that look like? Because right now Moldova has plenty of very small producers, but because of the EU regulations and taxes, exporting to the EU is very, very prohibitive. And we know that in the past Russia was a very attractive market because it wasn't that much red tape then. Thank you.
Gentlemen.
When it comes to the chances of the Republic of Moldova starting negotiation this year, perhaps Mr. Mureșan has more insight, being a member of the European Parliament. Also members of the European Commission might have a stronger word to say. And of course, on the bilateral level, heads of state and heads of governments of the European Union who will ultimately decide at the Council at the end of the year whether to start negotiations. What I can assure you is that the Republic of Moldova's government, the majority in Parliament and the Presidency are doing everything that is in our power to implement not only those 9 conditionalities, but to go above and beyond in implementing also the legislation, the harmonization effort that we've been lagging behind for a few years now. So we are doing everything we can so that when the time comes, we will know that we have not missed any chance. When it comes to the decision, that will be a technical but also a political decision to be taken by the European Union.
Look, on your question on trade, what is the situation, what can we do, what does it mean? The European Union and the Republic of Moldova have a deep and comprehensive free trade agreement in place, which means that the Republic of Moldova can export without barriers most of the categories of goods into the European market. But for some categories of goods, there are indeed some quotas. In this framework, trade between the Republic of Moldova and the European Union has increased significantly, so that even before the start of the war in Ukraine, more than 2/3 of Moldovan exports were coming into the European market, and more than 2/3 of imports into the Republic of Moldova were coming from the European market, much more than trade between the Republic of Moldova and Russian Federation. So trade has grown significantly between Europe and Moldova. My first point. My second point. Immediately after the start of the war, when Russian, Belarusian and Ukrainian markets were breaking away for Moldovan products, we at the European level took the decision to further increase quotas in those areas where they still existed, so that we allow Moldovan products access to the European market instead of into the Russian market where they were not welcomed anymore, or into the Ukrainian market where it was simply not possible anymore because of the war. So quotas were increased for 1 year, May last year to May of this year. Now the European Commission will propose a prolongation of these increased quotas. We expect this to be for at least 1 year, but what I'm saying is the following. We need to give Moldovan producers and farmers a long-term perspective, and we need to work towards fully liberalizing trade between the Republic of Moldova and the European Union in the long term. Why is this needed? Firstly, because in order to export into the European market, Moldovan producers, entrepreneurs, farmers need to invest. In order to export to Russia, you just need to export a lot. In order to export into the European market, you need high-quality goods. And in order for Moldovan farmers to do these investments, to adjust their products to European farmers, they need to invest. And they will only invest if we give them this long-term perspective. Moldovan wines are a very good example of how a complete sector in the Republic of Moldova has improved in quality following liberalization of trade with the European Union. We want to see that for more agricultural products in the Republic of Moldova. This is also the position of the European Parliament, that we are going to work for a long-term liberalization of trade. Now on the question of further integration steps, negotiations and so on. We have to be honest to the people of Moldova. We did a lot in the last year, and we did together within months things that took years for other member states before. It took less than 4 months for the Republic of Moldova to obtain EU candidate status in June 2022, less than 4 months after it submitted its application letter. For many of the current EU member states, it took years, including for my home country, Romania. So we managed to do a lot together last year within a matter of months. It is our duty to continue at the same speed and to make the most of the will to modernize and to reform the Republic of Moldova, which we are seeing now at the level of Moldovan authorities, president, government, and parliamentary majority. We know that up to EU accession, many things still have to be done in Moldova and at European level, but we have the obligation to do as much as we can for the people of Moldova, even before Moldova becomes an EU member state. And what I'm trying to say is the following. Moldova should be integrated into as many EU projects as possible, even before it formally becomes a member state of the European Union. This is what we have asked for as a parliament, including in the last meeting which Mihai Popșoi and myself have chaired of our joint parliamentary committee. This is what we will reiterate now. One concrete example is Moldova needs to be gradually integrated into the European single market, into the internal market, even before it becomes an EU member state. Why is this important? Because that means free movement of goods, people, services and capital between the Republic of Moldova and European Union. It means that European standards of environment protection, of quality of products will be applied to Moldovan products. It means basically that the European standard of living people of Moldova will be able to enjoy in the Republic of Moldova even before we institutionally finalize the EU accession process. So we should do as much as possible even before. On negotiations, last year, when the European Council has unanimously granted the Republic of Moldova EU candidate status, following the recommendation of the European Commission, it put forward 9 recommendations, reforms to be implemented by Moldovan authorities. As Mr. Popșoi was saying, they're now in the process of implementing them. As soon as the European Commission evaluates that these were implemented, we need to move to the next stage, which is starting accession negotiations in some of the chapters, as soon as, of course, circumstances allow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know I said it was the last question, but I understand we have a super short follow-up, and we will wrap up with this one.
Domnule Mureșan, 145 de milioane de euro propus de Comisie în luna ianuarie. Concret, când va fi aprobat de instituțiile europene ca să ajungă cât mai repede în Republica Moldova?
Comisia Europeană a propus în luna ianuarie acordarea a 145 milioane euro asistență macrofinanciară suplimentară Republicii Moldova, în plus față de toate angajamentele asumate anterior. Parlamentul European va vota în plenul Parlamentului în luna mai pentru acordarea acestei asistențe macrofinanciare și vă spun că vom vota pentru acordarea ei exact în condițiile propuse de Comisie, tocmai pentru a nu prelungi procesul. Comisia Europeană a propus ca acești bani să fie acordați Republicii Moldova în 2 tranșe, una dintre tranșe în cel de-al 3-lea trimestru al acestui an și cea de-a 2-a tranșă în cel de-al 4-lea trimestru al acestui an. Aceasta este propunerea Comisiei Europene. Noi, Parlamentul European, vom adopta astfel încât acest lucru să fie posibil și sunt convins că banii vor ajunge la Chișinău.
Thank you. And with those words, I believe that's what we have time for today. So I would like to thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you also to our interpreters for agreeing to stay a bit longer. Much appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mulțumim. Thank you.